Pot stocks, are they a safe bet with the Safe Banking Act gaining momentum? CNBC's Frank Collin joins us with a look at the sector. Frank.
Hey, good morning, Melissa. Well, cannabis stocks are doubling the S&P this month, rallying on high hopes for reform happening sometime this year. And we are seeing the most meaningful push for cannabis reform at the federal level ever. The first Senate hearing just last month, and now this month. Canopy, more than 40% higher. Sundial, nearly 30%. Aurora, more than 15%. Canadian names seeing the biggest boost because they list on the major exchanges. But USMSO, Green Thumb, also up nearly 20%. But reform doesn't necessarily mean legalization. Cowen says there's a 60% chance that the Safe Banking Act will pass this year. The bill effectively provides a pathway for banks to do business with cannabis companies legally. Right now, most are limited or they just choose not to because cannabis is federally illegal. SAFE would also reduce the cost of capital for cannabis companies, which was an estimated 10 to 15% in 2021. The biggest hurdle right now, so-called social justice provisions that Senator Cory Booker is becoming increasingly vocal about. They generally include some criminal justice measures and economic incentives for people impacted by the war on drugs, and that generally means people of color. Cowen says this about the Safe Banking Act: it must include enough social justice provisions to satisfy Democrats without turning away GOP support. If Booker gets more aggressive in pushing for social justice measures, then we don't see how a SAFE Act package could get through the Senate. So a lot to think about when it comes to the politics of this. Cannabis ETFs mixed in the last week, but all have seen a big spike in trading volume. Back over to you.
Frank, it's interesting. These stocks seem to always trade with the political win. So I feel like we've been through this before where hopes run high that there's going to be passage of the SAFE Act or some form of it, and then they get dashed. Fundamentally speaking, though, how is pricing doing in this inflationary environment? I mean, what are the fundamentals of these businesses? Because the sector overall, while they've seen a lifeline in the past week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, for the year, I mean, they're down more than 40%.
Well, one of the, secrets about the cannabis business is that, yes, people are buying more and more cannabis. Cannabis sales have grown, but the pricing for legal cannabis is considerably higher than black market cannabis. I actually spoke to Cowen analyst Vivian Azer just a few days ago. She estimates the legal cannabis market's about $25 billion, and different people have different estimates. But she says the illegal market or the black market's about $50 billion, and the pricing's better. And guess what? They'll just drop it off at your house in a lot of places. So it's really hard for these legal players to compete with the illegal market. They can't compete on pricing, and they certainly can't compete on convenience. The real push for them is to try to get consumer packaged goods with cannabis in it, get more widespread adoption. Consumer packaged goods with cannabis also have a much higher margin. If you look at cannabis drinks, about a nickel to a dime of cannabis goes into the drink, but they can retail for about $5.